Welcome back to TMZ Live. This is going to be really interesting. I'm going to tell you something that is going to blow your mind. We are about to speak to Julian Lennon, who is back in music. That's not the part that's going to blow your mind. He has a new album out with a very interesting title and a passion that he is bringing out in this music for, raising awareness about climate change. So we're going to talk to him about that. Here's the part that's going to blow your mind, Harvey. I know you are a huge Beatles fan. Everyone knows that. I was actually a Julian Lennon fan before I was a Beatles fan.
Really?
Just growing up, I didn't really get into the Beatles until my early 20s, mid-20s. But as a teen, in '84, I was listening to Julian Lennon's album, The Lot, and was a big, big fan. So
I see Julian in the monitor right now, and he's smiling.
Yeah, so joining us right now is Julian Lennon to talk about
Charles.
Hey, Julian. We're going to talk about your new album, Jude, but welcome to TMZ Live. Great to talk to you, man.
Thank you. Big fan, of course. So a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you, man.
So can we start with the title? It's so interesting because your life has just been so interesting, with difficulties along the way, just, with your parents and all.
We should say, for younger viewers who may not know this, that the song, Hey Jude, he's the Jude, Julian is the Jude in that song.
And that's the title of your album, so explain.
It was really about taking a sad song and making it better, and I feel I've definitely done that in my life with all the other work I've done outside of music. And I wanted to take ownership of the name, really, because of that reason. And in 2020, I decided also, my name was originally on my passport was John Charles Julian Lennon. But from the get-go, even mum and dad always called me Julian or Jules. And so I finally had gone through a growth period on many levels, and I wanted to be me after all. So in 2020, by deed poll, I changed it from John Charles Julian Lennon to Julian Charles John Lennon, therefore legally making me, and finally, Julian, and putting myself first for a change. So that's one of the many reasons that it's called Jude. It's about also shedding a skin, ending a chapter of my life in many, many ways, and just moving on. And of course, courting conversation, but it's me, the one that's asking you to ask me the questions now, rather than before, which was always the other way around. So I thought I'd have the upper hand this time.
But I hadn't thought about that. So when you were on the phone before and you were ordering something, whatever, you would have to say your name was John Lennon, and I'm sure you got the question all the time.
No, I'd never use my name under those circumstances, but or any name. The real issue was when I'd have to go through airports and security, and whether I was recognized or not, people would look at the passport and go, "Oh, John Lennon, oh, that's funny," or "Aren't you lucky?" And anyway, those are the polite comments that I dealt with for over 40 years. I was sick and tired of it. I was sick and tired of being the second John, so to speak. I wanted to be Julian, so I'd had enough. It was time for a change. And that's what it feels like. It really does feel like that.
It's a great segue you just gave us there, because Change is the single.
Yeah, it's a separate single from the album. It's all to do with me working with a company called Everland, where we try to save the forests and try to save the cultures of many indigenous tribes that live in the forests, and try to stop deforestation, of course, partly to do with climate change. So I have a foundation called the White Feather Foundation, and there were many things that aligned, and I was asked by them to write a song of hope and change on behalf of the company, because they were making films, educational films, that were going out to schools, et cetera, about all the work that they were doing. And so with that inquiry on their behalf, I got very, very interested because of the alignments. And I thought they were doing an amazing job, so wanted to support or be a support in whatever role I could maintain in that arena. So, I followed through with the song Change, and we released it as a single, a few days ago.
It's so interesting to me that, your dad was so conscious of the world, and you've kind of picked up that mantle.
Yeah.
With the good and the bad that happened in your life, that DNA is still present.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I think if you've got the wherewithal and your wits are about you, after you've been on the road a few times, you really have seen the world and what it's all about. And it was always an issue for me seeing all these problems. I get heartbroken by this stuff. And so, I do have a voice. So if I can help to do something, to make change in whatever format, whatever medium, then I'm going to try and do that, So, I mean, my issue is I had a song, over 25 years ago called Saltwater, which is an environmental and humanitarian song that reached good chart numbers, #1 in Australia and around the world. I don't think it really hit America because that's another story. But, back then I thought that was going to be the last song I would have to write in that realm. It just saddens me that I have to keep 25 years plus later that I keep having to write the same song in a different version, pleading for people to realize what's going on in this world and why we need to really get our act together. It's as simple as that, but it's sad that we're still in the same place, if not worse than before.
And the clock is ticking.
The evidence is around us, all around us. Julian, thank you so much for being with us, man. It is an honor. And everyone check out the new album, Jude. Incredible. Thank you so much, Julian.
Julian, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Really appreciate it.